Hi. So today I will be discussing the whole idea of climate change and global warming and the whole aspect of debate. It's a pretty big factor in our world right now, especially with this being election time coming up. This is a big point of debate that two sides of our country kind of have opposite views on, but not just the United States, but the world as a whole kind of is divided on their, I guess you could say, the correct idea of this topic. And today I'll be kind of dissecting each viewpoint. I'll be discussing the pros and the cons, what I think, and hopefully by the end of this you'll be able to make an informed decision of what you think as well. So, in my personal opinion, after doing extensive research, I do think it's a thing. I think it's an important thing. However, I do think that it is blown out of proportion. Um, I think that it is taken a little too serious. I know it's important because it's our world as a whole, but I think there's too much emphasis put on it, and I'm going to explain to you later why I think that. But it definitely is an issue that needs to be addressed, and over the course of this, I'll be discussing scientific evidence that proves that this is true. I'll be discussing the skeptics of global warming and climate change. I'll be discussing the evidence that they use as well to further their argument, and then I'll be discussing kind of how, whether you believe it or not, there still needs to be some change made. So, for starters, NASA came out with a study 2 years ago that said essentially 1.2 degrees Celsius has been the change of the average temperature of the surface of the Earth from the 19th century to modern day now. So that's a good piece of evidence arguing that this is definitely a thing. That's a numerical value that shows it's definitely going up. And also the International Panel of Climate Change, also known as the IPCC, they've done extensive carbon dating on multiple like plants and rocks and things like that that kind of measure, I guess the level of carbon that's going up in the things, which carbon also leads to the heating of the atmosphere, but that's not really relevant for this discussion. So the IPCC has essentially said that a lot of this carbon and the increased temperatures is from human consumption, so burning of fossil fuels every time you um, have a fire in your backyard or you drive a car. Those emissions go up and they increase the temperature of the earth by, that's called pollution technically. So all this human pollution coming together has essentially increased the average temperature of the earth. But where things start to get interesting is the American Association of Advanced Sciences, also known as the AAAS. Um, they said that, yeah, these numbers are true, but there's some explanations for it. So essentially, they say if you look back over history, we've had several different climate changes, we've had several fluctuations in temperature, but other methodology of being able to measure, temperature from things in the past and different stuff like that, we've been able to see that there's been a lot of fluctuation in temperature, so things have cooled off, things have heated up, and essentially their explanation or their philosophy is that it's just a cycle that we're going through right now is one where it's heating up a little bit, and eventually we'll get to one where it cools down a little bit. But they're saying it's just a natural thing for the world to go through cycles of temperature change, and so therefore that furthers their conclusion that this isn't as serious as one might make it seem. Um, so their theory also is that politicians and other, like, I guess you could say, the news or different media personnel, they kind of use this statistic as a way to scare people a little bit and to up their ratings. Politicians might use this to up their votes. Other politicians might use this to up their votes as well by saying they disagree with it. Both sides, no matter who you vote for or what your political views are, both sides kind of leverage this for attention. But essentially, the skeptics of climate change say that these statistics are blown out of proportion simply because it's a natural thing, it's a natural cycle, it's happened before, it'll happen again. And yeah, so, and then also the media, obviously, if they post a headline about crazy climate change things happening, there's going to be a lot of views on that, which generate revenue for them. So that's an interesting viewpoint on it as well. But honestly, in my viewpoint, regardless of what you view, there needs to be some action that takes place because whether you believe in it or not, that we only get one world, we only get one Earth, and there's been significant correlations between um, human emissions, human pollution, and sicknesses as well. So um, as we have pollution going into the air, it comes into the rain, and the rain comes on crops that we eat, and because of that, people develop sicknesses, people develop illnesses, and also obviously if people breathe in, you can see in countries with pollution like China, a lot of people have respiratory issues because they're just breathing in a lot of trash, a lot of pollutants that isn't good for the human body. So that's definitely important to be able to kind of eliminate that to the best of our ability. And so I'd like to end by saying, in my personal opinion, while yes, this might be blown out of proportion in the way that it's often used sometimes in the media, it is it's very important though that we still take care of our Earth because we only have one Earth, like I said, and the choices that we make today will dictate kind of the direction they go in the future. So if we don't take small initiatives to stop things like this now, in several decades, this is going to be an extreme problem, and I would hope that our world would never have to get to that point. So thank you.